Well, today we have a special treat for you. With us is Anders Carlson. He's the Marketing Director for EuroFlorist, which is the European affiliate of AFS, which just happens to be the world's largest flowers-by-wire service. So we're very honored to have him with us today. Anders, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Now today you're going to be showing us how to do a hand-tied bouquet?
Yes, I'm going to do that. It's going to be very fun to show you. It's a European hand-tied bouquet.
Oh, very good. Now I think our viewers will like this because this is something you're going to be using florist flowers that we have here, but it could also be used with flowers from your garden as well, couldn't it?
Yeah, that's right. You can go out in your garden and just pick things, and it shouldn't be any problem at all to just use what you want from your garden and cut them off and take them in and arrange them with your hand.
Okay.
That's why I tried to show. And then after that you can put it in a container. So let's
get
try.
started.
Yeah.
Now a hand-tied bouquet is basically you're just going to construct it right in your hand then.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. And the trick is that when you do that, you have to use your hand in a special way, because you have to put your stems in a sorry, but I crossing spiral. I don't.
Oh, in a spiral.
Yeah, spiral. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you see here, it's going around that way now. So that way I can put the next flower into it very easy.
Okay.
And I just have 2 fingers holding them, and this way I get a very steady thing in it. And normally I use my fingers to just support it a bit to hold it. And to this I can then add greenery, different greeneries, or the same type of greeneries. And this way I always put them the same way. You see I can put them in differently, but it's still the same around. When you look around, it's going the same way.
You're always going in a spiral.
Yes.
So.
Because if you don't do that, when you put the string around later on, it will kill some flowers if you put them across.
Okay.
And also, if you put cross like this, it's going to be very hard to get more flowers in your bouquet. Next time you want to put the flower in, this is going to be stopping that flower to go down in your hand.
Right.
But it's still put in the spiral and hold it that way. It's going to be very easy for you to put the next flower in.
Okay.
So if we just stop there, we could put this with a string and just put this in a vase. And suddenly you had the hand-tied bouquet. But we decided that we was going to do a little bit bigger bouquet today.
Yes.
And to add there, we can add different things. Normally you could use a lily or something like that, and then we get a bit more higher bouquet. And then you have to take away some greenery off it. Still, I do the same thing. I just push it in, and still I want it to come down the same way I wanted it in between my fingers. So it's just not crossing, it's going in the same spiral the whole time. And to do this, to get this bit more at the same level, I chose to use 2 just now. See if we need more, but we can just add this, and then that one goes in that way. And still it's just growing. So the bouquet is growing this way. And we can add a little rose to get the feeling of it.
Now, as you're doing this, you start out with a base of greenery before you start adding your flowers?
Normally you do that because it's so much easier to have something in your hand to hold it. It's like when you're using oasis or floriform or something like that. Your hand is going to be the floriform.
Okay.
And to help it a bit, that way you can do it with your hand and you do your greenery. So it stays better for you up that way.
Now, do the flowers have to be a certain stem length to be able to do this?
No, it doesn't need that. That's why you can go out in your garden to pick things. Because when you do this kind of bouquets with different levels in them, it's just depends on where you want the flowers to be. Short flowers has to be short and cut down in the base, and the long flowers you use higher up. Okay. So you can that way you can use different flowers. You can still use long flowers like the rose here in the base to get the more interesting look that way. And then you can just take it down a bit and put it here, so you see that you get the look of it's much more solid. The bouquet is just starting getting in front that way. And that way you have two sides of it. And if you do this way, then you start adding the greenery also on top here, so you know that this is going to be my backside. Then you can add a few longer greenery things, so you can get them in here, and that way when you turn it around, you see you start getting a side of it going back and the flowers coming from in the front. So that's why we start adding this, so we see that we can get the front here and the back.
It's a pretty bouquet.
Start getting there. The best thing is that you still can move the flowers this way.
Even.
We didn't string them. You can, when you start doing bouquets like that, you can always start adding wire into this now. But then you are hard to do it if you want to change anything. So as long as you can have it in your hand, it's much, much better. And also a trick when you do it, if you don't normally do it, put your arm into your body and lower it. So you get this type of holding like I do now. As soon as you do like this and you're not used to it, you get tired and your fingers start to get cramps, and it's going to be hard to do it the first time that way. But when you know how to do it, you can show it a bit.
Right.
And you don't so afraid of moving things around, and then you know that it's going to be okay. But it's so much more relaxing to have it down a bit.
Oh, this is very pretty. You finished up with a nice bouquet, Anders.
Yeah, and let's tie it together then, so we get a string around it too. So, yep.
Now this is the tied part of the hand tied.
That's true, yeah. And I know use then this raffia, and and it's very good to use it. So I took a few of them, so we get a good string that way and around it. And what I do is just let it go over my fingers. So it comes on top of my fingers. Yeah, that way I get in the same spot that I was before. So there my fingers has been holding the bouquet together, and it slips down that way. So I take another turn there, so we don't have too little string on it. So that should be staying there, and that way we get this way now, and then we have to tie it. So I put it down here for a second, and we just do a little knot.
Now this is kind of a key to keeping it together when you put it in the vase then.
Yes, it's right. And this way you don't take it up when you come home. You get it in the vase this way.
Right.
So you have to cut the flowers to fit in the vase. So from here you have to fix so we can have the bouquet standing in here.
Right.
So the length of the steams is too long now, so we have to cut them down, and then I always use a knife.
Right.
Because I want angle. When you cut with a knife, think of that you are not going to use your thumb that way.
Right.
You are going to use your thumb just to have the steam against it, and you're pulling your whole hand. So your cut is in your elbow. So if you just cut that way, you're never going to cut yourself.
Right, that's important to remember.
Yeah. Because it's very easy to just cut yourself if you just stay and start working with your hand.
Right.
So don't do that. Use your hold.
And just pull.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you use your elbow, it's just easier. So now it should be a bit shorter, so we can.
Now cutting them at an angle just helps them take up water better?
Yes.
Okay.
That way we get the water to have a better area to get into. And also if you then use hot water together with the you call it
the floral preservative.
Yes. So if you just use hot water that way, you get the air to disappear, which is what you want to do. The why you cut everything is because you get air in the steam, and if it's just don't cut it off, you just press it up a bit higher. I'm sure everybody has the rose who has been turning the head down.
Right.
Yeah, and if you just cut it really good and put a piece of paper around it,
right,
and put it in the vase with hot water, it will come back.
Okay.
So that's a very easy trick. But the thing is that you put it in there, you get the air to just press up a bit. So the air perhaps is this high on the rose.
Right.
And when you cut it again, it doesn't help. So if you cut it off, something like this much, I should say, I don't know what.
4 inches?
Yeah, something like 4 inches. And put the paper on it so you get its support, and put it down in the vase with hot water. Normally it will really good come back
Help
and be very good again.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's see how it looks.
Yep, should try this. Yep. So this way we have a bouquet.
That is very pretty. I thank you for making a bouquet for us and helping us with some of our flower care, Anders.
That's very fun to be here.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.